everyone. Welcome to the 2012 Freelance Translator Virtual Conference, and thanks for coming to this presentation. My name is Jared Tabor, and I oversee Member Services at Pros.com. Member Services refers to the suite of services, of tools and opportunities the site has to offer to those working in the translation industry. I've been working with Pros.com from the office in Argentina since 2007. Part of my job is to talk with and listen to translators about their needs and the issues affecting them. That is where the subject of today's presentation comes from. The State of the Industry Report for Freelancers is an annual report published by Pros.com since 2010. It evolved out of the Future of the Industry presentation given by Pros.com's founder, Henry Dotterer. The first report was given as a presentation at the second annual virtual conference in celebration of International Translation Day at Pros.com. And since then, the reports have been published in written form on the site, where it is easier to get into more detail and they can be reviewed at more leisure. These industry reports are free to all Pros.com members and can be found under the Education menu tab on the site, under the name Translation Industry Reports. The purpose of the State of the Industry Report is to look at developments in translation and the translation industry, how they are affecting language professionals, and how language professionals are responding to these developments. The report, as its name suggests, is for freelance translators and is composed almost entirely of information provided by full-time freelance translation professionals, though others in the industry also provide valuable information. As the compiler or presenter of this information, I may occasionally add an opinion or a supposition on some of the data being shown in the report, but for the most part, this is a report told by translators for translators. As a report by translators for translators, you should not expect too much here that will surprise or shock you. If you are a full-time, independent language professional, the information revealed here is not a revelation. You live it and you know it already, or at least you have a good idea or a hunch about some of it. The purpose of this report is not to tell you anything you don't already know or suspect. Rather, its purpose is to display certain information on challenges and opportunities currently facing translators in a way which may help you confirm hunches where you have them, help you to compare your approaches to the approaches of others, and help give an idea of where you might stand in all of this amongst your colleagues. You probably already know that the turnaround times for translation projects have been increasing, for example, and we'll take a look at that. We'll also take a look at what others are doing to meet that increasing demand for speed or efficiency. You might be taking some or all of those approaches, but maybe there is something in there that you find useful to incorporate, or something that you can check off your list as something definitely not worth trying. So don't expect surprises. If something does catch your attention, or does not match your experience, this may simply indicate an area where it might be worthwhile to dig further. If my occasional opinions or suppositions on the material seem misguided, or you feel you can add to the material presented with your viewpoint or experience, I am more than happy to hear from you on this. I can be reached via email at Jared, that's Jared, at Pros.com. Today's presentation does not cover the entire report for 2012, but will cover some of the main areas of the report and some information which may, or may not, be of particular interest. I encourage those who are interested to read the full report, which is published in the Industry Reports section under the Education menu tab on the site. So let's get started. Commenting on the impact of the Internet and other factors leading to accelerated globalization, Thomas Friedman, in The World is Flat, A Brief History of the 21st Century, wrote, "The world has been flattened. Global collaboration and competition between individuals and individuals, companies and individuals, companies and companies, and companies and customers have been made cheaper, easier, more friction-free, and more productive for more people from more corners of the earth than at any time in the history of the world." These changes, of course, have also affected translation. As companies have gained increased access to new potential customers around the world, the need for translation has increased. The translation industry is a healthy, growing one. Other features of this flattened translation world are, for instance, the increased turnaround times translation projects demand. It is easier now, too, for clients to find the right professional for the job in less time. With advances in content management, the use of translation memories, improvements in machine translation, more effective online and offline resources, and many other factors, human translators are now more efficient. They are more specialized. They are, through this heightened productivity and specialization, able to provide increasingly higher quality. Here are some of the topic areas that we're going to cover today then. General information, first of all, on freelance translators. Then we'll move on to specialization, project turnaround and translator efficiency, quote-unquote new technologies, quality, translation demand and growth in the industry, translator income, investments and expectations, diversification, the subject of differentiation and translator marketing, and finally a few strategies for success. Again, this is a compressed version of the actual report, so we won't delve into too much detail or be able to cover everything that is included in the report under these headings. So, first of all, some general information on freelance translators. Freelance translators hold a special place among freelancers worldwide. According to the International Freelancers Academy, translators are the 5th largest population of freelancers. The number one benefit of freelancing, pointed to by translators and most other freelancers as well, is the ability to have flexible work hours, followed by being one's own boss, mobility, or being able to work from a variety of locales, project variety, and a potential for higher income. Most freelance translators who come from a background of 9-to-5 work or who have had regular jobs, so to speak, agree that they are happier as freelancers. Some of the challenges faced by translators are common to other freelance professions. Finding clients, dealing with the feast or famine cycle of work, maintaining a work-life balance, and productivity issues all rank high, both among freelance translators and freelancers in general. Work and life as a freelance translator is unique, however, and so there are specific twists and turns to these common benefits and difficulties for the translator, as well as other factors that come into play to make being a freelance translator today both uniquely challenging and rewarding. Of full-time freelance translators, at least 63% are the main income providers in their households. What do these households look like? At least 80% are composed of 2 or more people. Just over half of the households have no children. Of the households with children, 61% have children still living in the home. The majority of freelance translators work from home. Some who rent or have office space outside of the home admit to working there only irregularly. Of those who work at home, 60% have a separate room set aside for their work area. Working at home and working on the internet both have advantages to them. They can also come with their fair share of distractions for the translator. Translators pointed to non-work related internet activity or sites as the largest source of distraction for them. Up there as well was getting sidetracked in researching. You go to look for a term, and 20 minutes later you find yourself reading about something almost completely unrelated. In between those two distractions were family and household duties, which also ranked very high. Specialization. In the State of the Industry report for freelance translators in 2010, we spoke of the use of translation memories, or TMs, as being a given. Given in that, unless you were one of the few people out there whose work did not, by its nature, exclude the use of TMs, and you were not using TMs, you should start using them. Specialization, before 2010, was already a clear trend, and continues to be. So much so that we could look at specialization as being a given as well. Nearly 90% of translators are specializing. To be clear, specializing, what we mean by specializing here is marketing yourself to clients in just one or a few fields of expertise. This doesn't mean you need to pass up projects you find interesting if they fall outside of your area of specialization, but it is clear that taking the jack-of-all-trades approach to how you present yourself to potential clients may not be as effective as specializing. Here are some things that we know about specializing. Most translators are doing it. Most translation companies or clients prefer to use specialized translators when they can find them. Specialized translators work faster, they're able to provide greater quality, and they're able to charge more for their work. While they're able to charge more, this does not necessarily represent greater cost to the client. For these three reasons, translators who do not specialize are finding it increasingly difficult to compete with those who do. Throughout this year's report, you will see specialization coming up again and again. It ties in heavily with trends in productivity, in translation quality, translator income, marketing, and so on. So, as several survey respondents aptly stated, specialize, specialize, specialize. Project turnaround and translator efficiency. Speed isn't everything, but it can be important. Over 60% of translators find it difficult, at least at times, to keep up with the turnaround rates required by clients. An increased turnaround was the trend that most respondents pointed to as having the greatest impact on them and their businesses. Some are struggling with meeting this greater demand for speed. Overall, however, translator efficiency is up. The number of translators paying attention to their productivity is increasing, which is a good sign as well. And as you can see from the chart on the slide here, the average words per day being reported by translators is increasing. The different components that make up one translator's increasing productivity may differ from another's, and there are a lot of variables. But most translators asked agreed on some main factors that went into increasing their efficiency. Greater experience, of course, is at the top of the list. Beginning to use or becoming more proficient with translation memory tools, improved terminology resources, becoming more specialized, growing translation memories, improved workspace or environment, streamlining non-translation tasks, the use of machine translation and dictation software all ranked high in reasons for increasing translator efficiency. Under the new technologies heading, and they're not really new, we'll just say a few words today on machine translation. It hasn't gone away. It's up slightly. Around 54% of the community is using machine translation for some tasks. To be clear, we're not talking about translators putting a text into Google Translate and then handing in the results. For the most part, we're talking about very specific tasks, things like gisting or getting the idea of a text. Many translators are using machine translation for creative inspiration when it comes to looking at terms or different texts. In some cases, it's used to translate very simple lists or very repetitive texts, to create an initial translation to post-edit. There are also translators who are using machine translation to illustrate, to show clients the difference between machine translation and human translation. Another interesting development is that the number of clients experimenting with machine translation or beginning to incorporate MT is on the rise as well. Now, the usability of different forms of machine translation may still vary from language to language or field to field. There's also a lot to do with the training and preparation and practice that goes into something like post-editing work, for example. What is significant here is that the use of MT continues to rise, and large numbers of translators are finding it useful in some manner. So signs point to MT continuing as a trend, and it continues to be a reasonable statement that the translator who stays on top of the advantages and disadvantages of MT for the work they offer is better positioned to respond to client inquiries on MT when they arise. It is probably less effective, for example, to respond, "No, I don't use MT, it's terrible," to a client, than to respond, "No, I don't use MT for that, and let me show you why. Here's the difference." How is translation quality faring in all of this? As we mentioned earlier, clients are expecting quicker turnaround. Increasing translator productivity is making it possible to meet this demand. Is the demand for quality still increasing as well? Yes. Both translators and translation companies report a rise in the demand for quality over just 2 years ago. This is seen in various aspects of the translation process. Translators report that translation companies they work for are implementing increasingly strict screening processes. For translators seeking to work with some clients, it's becoming increasingly difficult to get in. They're offering tighter project coordination. They're providing more style guides and term lists to the translator. Some are introducing specific rules or guidelines regarding what happens if errors are detected in a translation. And they're introducing overall greater quality assurance, or QA, both in the employment of procedures and in personnel. Translators are meeting this demand for increasing quality through various means, including they're specializing. They continue to improve their own QA processes. They're adopting new QA processes. They're getting specialized training and certification. They're forming and using translation teams. They're showing proof of quality and QA up front. And they're keeping their rates in line with the quality of work requested and provided. It's also interesting to note that some translators are also implementing their own stricter screening when it comes to selecting new clients to work with. Many commented that this was yielding good results, and that they found that clients who are serious about quality tend to provide the support needed to ensure quality and also pay for it. One piece seems to be missing from some translators' approaches to the quality demand. While the increasing demand for quality seems apparent and translator quality is increasing, some translators appear to be stuck between what they can offer a potential client and what they can show a potential client they can offer in terms of quality. The times when you could say, "Take my word for it," in speaking of the quality you can provide, and that was effective, are probably now over. It's now reasonable to assume that an inability to show potential clients what you can provide in terms of quality before you provide it may affect the kind of demand you see. Quality can be a differentiator, but so is the ability to show quality. Some translators are taking advantage of this and are benefiting from it. Do you have a strict QA process? It may be more effective to outline what that process is rather than just saying that you have it. Just as it may be more persuasive to show certificates of specialized training rather than saying that you have them, for example. Demand and growth in the industry. Indicators seem to be fairly positive in this area. Almost 70% of translators asked are handling more volume now than just 2 years ago, although around 12% were unsure of whether their volume had increased or not. According to Common Sense Advisory, the market for outsourced language services is worth $33.523 billion in 2012, and it's calculated that the language services market is growing at an annual rate of 12.17. That's up from 7.41% in 2011. Indicators like these would seem to match with the concept of a flat world in translation, as we saw at the beginning of this presentation. Demand is healthy, growth has increased. How is this affecting freelance translators in terms of their own income and growth? When asked if they felt if their businesses were being affected by global or local economic crises, The response from full-time translators was nearly 50-50. As was noted in last year's report, these effects are not always negative, however. Some see an increase in demand from some clients, sectors, or fields, and a drop from others during times of economic pressure, for example. Downward pressure on translator rates has been felt over the past few years. This pressure, in the flattened world of translation, continues to be felt. However, there have been some changes which are positive. What are translators doing with their rates? Among Pros.com members, there has been a slight increase in those who have raised their rates and a slight decrease of those who have lowered their rates from 2011. Around the same percentage, 50%, report maintaining steady rates. It would be simpler to focus just on whether translators are raising their rates, but this provides only a partial view of what may be happening. That an important number of translators are raising their rates and others are resisting the downward pressure on rates is good. It may be more comprehensive to look at translator income, since many of the trends presented so far come together and at least have the potential to play into a translator's income. For example, if a translator is working more efficiently than a year ago, it is possible that their income is increasing, even if their rates have remained steady for the last year. In order to capture more or better demand and clients, many translators are focusing in just a few main areas. 1. Specialization. 2. Increased efforts at differentiation. 3. Increased marketing efforts. And 4. Diversification. Just a quick note here on retirement. I know, it's too soon. Roughly 33% of those asked say that they have made plans or preparations regarding retirement. And this is up slightly from over 3 years ago. 16% said they do not plan for retirement at all. Many agreed that these kinds of plans were best approached sooner than later, since the available options may tend to dry up the closer one gets to the age at which one would like to slow down or stop working, or in the event that one is unable to continue working, either temporarily or permanently. Diversification, an ongoing trend which plays into translator income and also differentiation and marketing, which we will see in a moment. In previous reports, two main types of diversification were identified. Both are ways of supplementing and increasing income. There's diversification within the translation industry, where the translators are delving into offering other services such as project management, desktop publishing, training to other translators in areas of expertise. On the other hand, we have diversification out of the translation industry, where translators are applying their skills to other lines of business. For example, going into education or in sectors which relate to their fields of expertise. In 2012, 36% of translators are diversifying within the industry, and 13% are considering doing so. This is down just slightly from last year. Translators diversifying out of the industry are at around 27%, with 15% considering the idea. If the translation world is flat, and it is increasingly easy for clients to find the right person for a project, it may also be increasingly easy for some of the right people to get lost in the hustle and bustle if they are not prepared. A thread that was much stronger this year in freelance translators' conversations and responses to surveys were the issues of differentiation and marketing. We know that most clients seek specialists and are looking for better quality with faster turnaround. We know that clients are tightening up their screening processes to ensure these conditions. It would be reasonable to consider that some professionals do not reach that screening process, or in other words fail a sort of pre-screening through either not reaching the client or not showing the client up front that they might be the professional the client is looking for. Going all the way back to the future of the translation industry presentation, there was a 4-part strategy presented to freelancers to survive and thrive in the translation industry. These strategies still hold up, and we'll make mention of them briefly here. They are: be good. By be good, we mean love what you are doing, love translation, be good at translation. Get yourself trained. Specialize. Join translators associations and associations in your fields of expertise. Collaborate with other professionals. Watch your efficiency and work towards improving it. Differentiate and market yourself. This is not always easy, but bear in mind it's probably not enough to say, I'm different, I'm better. You need to look for ways that you can show this to your clients, to show them how you are different, how you're better, how you're good. An example of a differentiator is your rate or quality assurance processes that you have implemented. And don't forget to include marketing your services in this strategy. A bit of ongoing marketing can go a long way. Be confident. If you're good, know that you're good and show that you're good. Stay on top of what is happening in the translation industry and embrace the new tools or working methods that help you work better. Don't shy away from them. And finally, charge accordingly. Know your rate. Know what you need to make to have the living that you want to have. And remember that you are the one who sets that rate, and charge accordingly for your work. There are many resources out there for the professional translator who wishes to follow these strategies or who needs help with following a particular strategy. Make sure you're making the best use of all of those resources. Know that pros.com is one of those resources as well. And here I would be remiss in my duties if I did not mention pros.com membership as part of those resources. If you're looking for ways to better market your services as a language professional, consider pros.com membership. Membership plus a strong profile which accurately reflects you as a professional is one of the most powerful marketing tools you can invest in. And it gives you a high level of visibility to potential clients and collaborators, both on pros.com and on the web in general. Members are shown in the first layer of directory results, the directory and direct profile contact being the most common ways in which jobs are passed on the site. Pros.com members meet clients at least 4 times more often than non-members. In addition, you have access to an entire suite of tools and opportunities which are designed specifically for the language professional. You can see this list of benefits at the link shown on your screen, or by looking under the Home menu tab at the top of the site. If you are not already a pros.com member, you can join as a full member today at a special discount in conjunction with this virtual conference. Just look for the link towards the top of the page. If you are already a pros.com member, first of all, thank you. Be sure to familiarize yourself, if you haven't already, with the full list of benefits, and make sure you're getting the most out of your membership in investment. We also talked today about the issue of differentiation, of standing out to potential clients. There are many resources on pros.com that can help you do this. The Certified Pro Network is one of those resources. The Certified Pro Network is a community-driven initiative that is designed to provide professionals a means to distinguish themselves and to meet, work, and collaborate in a network composed entirely of other screened professionals. Those who entered the Certified Pro Network, or CPN, are screened in 3 main areas: translation ability, business reliability, and good citizenship. Participation in the Certified Pro Network is an opportunity for professional translators to provide an additional differentiator to others and to collaborate on a deeper level with other professionals. So if you're not familiar with the CPN or would like to apply to the network and you haven't yet, I would encourage you to visit the link on your screen. That's pros.com/CPN, where you will find more information on the Certified Pro Network and the screening process. Once again, I would like to point out that we are unable to cover the entire State of the Industry report in this presentation. This has just kind of been a highlight reel or a teaser of sorts, if you will. I would encourage anyone who is interested to visit the State of the Industry report area on the site and read the full report. You can see the link to the area on your screen there, and again you can also reach it by going to the Education menu tab and looking under Translation Industry Reports. And with that, thank you for listening and watching. We'll be live in just a few moments with the question and answer portion of the presentation. Thanks once again, and I hope you all enjoy the rest of the event.